What's up, everybody? Lucky Lefty Podcast, Honora Boys. We are in the building, and we are brought to you by Honora Whiskey. It is HonoraWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey, HonoraWhiskey.com. And let me tell you something. If you're going to choose to partake, please make sure that you do it
responsibly.
Let's get it, Liv. Lucky Lefty Podcast. I am Sean Davis, SD2 Mike's that guy, the original Lucky Lefty himself, MALIK ZAIRE, brought to you by Honora Whiskey. We are also on YouTube, Lucky Lefty Podcast. Why don't you go ahead, subscribe, hit that thumbs up, helps with the views. We continue to grow. We appreciate you because we are the home of the misguided passion, and we will continue to be committed to making sure that we spin it
different. Gotta hit him with the echo.
Yo. Also, courtesy of Bleav Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You need to tap into the audio side, audio edibles each and every day. And we are presented by FanDuel, FanDuel.com. You can download the FanDuel app. If you go to FanDuel, what you will find is that the Fighting Irish are the betting favorite to win a national championship in 2026. And then CJ Carr is the betting favorite to win the Heisman. You can find that and much more over at FanDuel, FanDuel.com, or you can simply download the FanDuel app. Yep, Left, how you feeling, bro? How you feeling?
You know, one thing about getting boxes, everybody loves to get a package. It's the what do you do after you open the package is the problem. Because it's just stuff everywhere. You want the stuff to come in,
right?
Not mess all over the place, and that's it's got to be an innovation to do something with all the debris after unpackaging.
We're gonna talk. Sorry, I apologize. Administrative mistake on my part yesterday. We knew that due to unforeseen scheduling and things that had to be done on my end and Malik's end, Monday and Tuesday were out of the question. And then on yesterday, I posted that the show was going to be yesterday, and I meant to post it for today. So I apologize for those that were in expectation of a show yesterday. I tried to change it as soon as I saw it, and we are here today. We're here today.
They really want us to start dropping like some free LL stuff because my goodness, they be so upset with us in our scheduling sometimes. And I know, we gonna bring the impact every time.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I'm going to give you a little bit of grace today, and I'm going to say, your squad is playing pretty good right now.
Oh, I'm glad we got to this day. I'm glad this segment is coming up. Man. I'm waiting.
It's been a long time coming, as Sam Cooke said, but a change has come.
I didn't want to jinx it. That's why I waited for you to talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
I am nothing more than honest and straightforward when it comes to what I see with these two eyes. They are definitely there. Are they better than San Antonio and OKC? No, they're not.
For 7 games?
No, they're not. They played both 7 games this year, and they have 0 wins. So no, in a series, no.
That's regular season though, so you know how the playoff changes things.
I'm not convinced quite yet because Denver gave the game away Saturday. They gave the game away. All they had to do was rebound. All they had to do was rebound a free throw. That's all they had to do. Rebound a free throw. It's very simple. You knew Austin Reeves was trying to miss the free throw. All they had to do was
I'm not gonna let you do that. They played a great game throughout the whole time.
No, they made a great play, but they still were down 3 with 5 seconds left. That doesn't change. That doesn't change. So I'm just saying,
By the end of the year,
7-game series against Denver, it's a pick 'em. It's a pick 'em, in my opinion.
They're getting old, man. Jokic, you know, he ain't
wait a minute. The Lakers don't have somebody getting old? Oh, not get my fault. Not getting old is old.
Okay, but the thing is, we have the youth around the experience.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Plus, you know, we letting the non-colored folk do their thing. You know what I mean? I can't be mad at that.
Never thought I would see the day where a team needed LeBron James to be the third option.
Oh, see, I wouldn't say third. I wouldn't say third. He's
fourth. He's fourth. He's behind Rui. He's behind Marcus Smart.
Luka and Austin Reeves rotate. They rotate.
And then Marcus Smart hits the big shots down the stretch.
No, LeBron's always 2, and then Luka and Austin Reeves take turn on 1, and it rotates like that. So it's always LeBron at 2, and then it goes 1-3, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, man. You got to be a little bit more honest. Lucky Lefty podcast. Before we get to, we will go over what we heard from Marcus Freeman in his press conference today, his pre-spring practice press conference. We'll go over that tomorrow because we want to stretch it out. Today, we're going to cover Marcus Freeman and his interview with Greg McElroy on Always College Football. And then Wake Up the Echoes had Jordan Faison and CJ Carr. And we got some very interesting comments from that interview that we want to share and talk about and see what you guys think about it. But before we get to that, we do want to talk about what Lando met with the media, and Rob Hunt met with the media today as well. And it's a long injury list for the spring, long injury list. The guys that are out for the spring: freshman cornerback Kari Adams with a shoulder, freshman linebacker Jacoby Clapper with a shoulder, offensive lineman Ashton Craig as he tries to rehab that ACL injury, freshman defensive lineman Tiki Hola, his ACL.
How was any of that possible when we haven't even? Are these injuries before they got there?
No, that I guess in all-season training.
We got all these injuries and we ain't got on the field yet.
Let me finish the list, love.
How is there a list and we ain't did one day of football? I don't understand.
Offensive lineman Charles Jagasaw, who's trying to he's going through his 4th procedure. They keep having infection problems with the area. Yeah, infection issues with the area of his humerus. So he had one more procedure to clean it up.
They bare hands?
Left eye. They really didn't go into it anymore. But you know, the infection.
How you can? That sounds crazy. How you?
Well, when you start dealing with infection, that's life or death, bro. But that stuff gets into your bloodstream.
They're saying this is multiple. Like this ain't the first infection.
No, this is like his 4th procedure, bro.
What kind of?
So I don't know.
Is he like Bubble Boy, where he got to live in the bubble or something? You know.
I don't know what it is, man.
That's crazy.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, but speedy recovery. Of course, freshman running back Javian Osborne has a wrist. Quincy Porter, of course, he's coming back from his patella injury. Braden Robinson, the freshman wide receiver, has an ACL. Gordy Serstead has a shoulder. Kingston Vila-Muasa, of course, is coming back from his ACL. He'll be out for the spring. And Keedron Young, he'll be out for the spring, recovering from his ACL.
Oh, okay. I'm about to.
Yeah. No, he's still recovering. So him and Kingston are still coming back from.
You sound like a girls' basketball team, all these ACLs and shoulders.
Limited in the spring is Drake Bowen. He'll be ready. He has a small minor injury. He'll be ready to go. Matt Paramo, Kahana Kia, Tyler Merrill, and Aeneas Williams.
All these. Wait a minute. We ain't even had a practice yet. Is that an indictment on weight and strength conditioning or something? Are we going too hard, or what is Francis Bruton? You
know what? I'll be honest, because I have been spring practicing. I've been nerding out on spring practices with other schools, like listening to their content and their podcasts. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's an epidemic. I don't know if it's too much training. I don't know what it is, but there are a lot of
ACLs.
No, there are a lot of just injuries keeping guys out of spring practices around the country.
Shoulders, and could some of it be load management, you know? But then again, the spring don't even matter. I mean, not the way people been treating it. So
I'll keep it a buck. I don't care about Charles Jagasaw, Tiki Hola. I mean, I care. What I mean to say is I don't care about him necessarily being ready in the spring. If he can recover and be ready to go in the fall, I'm fine. Tiki Hola, I hate that he has an ACL, but he wasn't expected to really play as a true freshman on the interior of the defensive line. We know Ashton Craig's injury goes back to last year.
Yeah, we can excuse the guys that are coming in with I thought most of these were just guys coming in fixing things from last year, but you name it freshmen, and I'm
the freshman ACLs are crazy.
Yes, I'm saying, but no, what kind of stuff is this? And it's you don't want to blame the kids, but what kind of training program you get these many injuries before football starts? That's not a good sign, But once again, I mean, maybe we got that electrical grid plant like the 49ers somewhere next to the practice facility. You know what I mean? They got that conspiracy going on with the electric grids or something. I don't know.
It was funny because as I watched, we'll play some of the clips tomorrow of Lauren Lando. You can see, some of the media were trying to find answers for the injuries, and Lauren Lando was like, we play a violent sport. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they play a violent sport. Now, here's the thing, Lev. If we were in camp and during the year, I would absolutely be like, Lauren Lando, you're right. You're absolutely right. But
all these are soft tissue injuries. None of that is you don't get hit and blow your ACL out from getting tackled. 9 times out of 10, these are not. Most of these sound like non-contact injury stuff. All the ACLs are most likely non-contact. Shoulders are most likely soft tissue, unless you coming into the year with healing it. But for us not to be putting no pads on yet, we got all these. Van Gorder used to call it soft tissues. This is more of a question of like maybe your hydration or something. You know what I mean? Like it's cold, but you got to work out and all that.
Yeah, nutrition and recovery.
And a lot of these guys, we all over the place. So a lot of these guys are coming from different climates. You know what I mean? Like it's cold to the bone out there in South Bend. Just imagine, Kavion, or most of these guys that come from the West Coast and Texas and them hot places, they train in 6 months, 7 months out of the year in the freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
Maybe that affects some affects the body. Rob Hunt would know all that science stuff, but I can only imagine, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So let me finish it out. like I said, Drake Bourne, Matt Faramo, Kahana Kia, Tyler Merrill, and Aeneas Williams will all participate in spring. This was the funniest thing. Leonard Moore tweaked his ankle on spring break. It would be that would miss the first 2 practices. It's like,
do we have to make rules about what not to do when you not
when they go? Yes, when they go away from break and stuff. Like, yo, what is going on? Christopher Tarrick.
What are we doing on spring? Leonard Moore, you supposed to be chilling. What could you be doing?
This concerns me though. Jaden Greathouse has another hamstring, bro. This right here, I'm like, bro, this hamstring again?
How? Like, what are you like? That's impossible.
You gotta figure something out. You remember when Steph Curry had the recurring ankle issues?
Yeah, them ankle issues.
And they had to go do the science, dude, to figure out.
He went do the science. I ain't heard of an ankle since, crazy enough. And that was years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Steph got on that quick. This dude, you missed 9 games from hamstring. Adding 2 months of not doing nothing, that's, football necessarily. That's like 5-6 months on a hamstring, not active. So, I don't know, man.
I agree, Left. It's weird, man. The recurring hamstring issues with Jaden Greathouse. I'm gonna be honest.
Is he like Joe Embiid?
I can't feel confident right now. I can't feel confident about that. I just can't. I can't honestly feel confident about Jagasaw. I just can't. It's unfortunate, right? Because it's like it wasn't like a knee or an Achilles. It's like it's right there below his shoulder. Reading up on it, it does have a higher risk. That particular bone does have a higher risk of improper healing and infection, and that's what it seems like he's been dealing with. But to be on your 4th procedure after the initial surgery is, but we extend our prayers out to all these players, hoping that they get healthy and have healthy years, healthy camps and healthy years for the Fighting Irish. Lucky Lefty Podcast, GTB for my guy, Jay Melvin. Shaun, I asked Brian this question on IB. I'm going to ask you, do you think Cam McGee, if he continues to progress, will end up being a better high school prospect than Keon Keeley, Bryce Young, and Rodney Dunham? I mean, that's tough when you're talking about he has to clear all of those guys. He's further ahead than Bryce Young. Rodney Dunham coming off of his leg injury, we'll see how he is. And Keon Keeley, we really haven't seen elite play from him on the college level.
Yeah, none of them have a big enough name where you can't come around the corner on them,
Yeah. I think Cam McGee is only rivaled. His upside is only rivaled by Bryce Young out of these 3 guys. And I think his floor is higher than Bryce Young at this point. When Bryce Young was a sophomore going to his junior year, I don't think he was as good as Cam McGee is. I mean, he's the 6th best player in the class of 2028. And he'll be on campus this weekend with his brother Rice teammates. All right. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Go over to FanDuel, FanDuel.com. Download the FanDuel app. And when you go over there, what you'll see, unfortunately, no more World Baseball Classic. Left, I have a problem, man. When you asked Team USA who won their first goal in U.S. hockey for their game-worn jerseys, you have to win. You can't wear their jerseys to the game and lose. That's embarrassing. I mean, that's just my opinion. That's embarrassing. I know why, pride in your nation, national pride. I get it, but you have to finish the deal. You can't wear those jerseys and what they represent and not finish the deal. You just have to finish the deal. That's just my personal opinion.
Absolutely.
But if you go over to FanDuel, FanDuel.com, as I said before, the win totals are out. The win totals are out, and the Fighting Irish are sitting right at 11.5, which basically you got to hope that the Fighting Irish go undefeated if you're going to play them at 11.5. Teams like Texas A&M, they have a win total of 8.5. The Texas Longhorns, man, the state of Texas is 9.5. That's some cheap buy-ins for the state of Texas. Ooh, Ole Miss, what about that SEC squad? 11.5. I guess they think the loss of Lane Kiffin is going to be pretty disastrous, even with Trinidad champions returning. Alabama's at 8.5. That's crazy. I really am happy and excited to see Keelan Russell this year, Left.
That's right. I think he's ready.
Yeah, I do too. And the LSU Tigers are sitting right at 8.5. You can find that and much more over at FanDuel, FanDuel.com. Download the FanDuel app. All right, Left. You ready to rock and roll? I cleared the runway because we go to Always College Football, hosted by Greg McElroy. He had Marcus Freeman on, and he was asked about what he learned from Lou Holtz.
The first conversation we had, he made sure to say, I'm never going to give you any advice, always just give you my opinion. And that's what he did. He gave his opinion on many different subjects. I picked his brain. But, I think the thing most importantly I got from Coach Holtz was to love and embrace Notre Dame. Yeah. It isn't just a job. You're a part of a community. You're a part of a network that's greater than yourself. And that comes from a guy that was here and then went and coached somewhere else. Like, he loved Notre Dame, and I've developed that same passion.
I wonder, does Brian Kelly deserve the same respect? Would somebody go call Brian and be like, what was Notre Dame like for you? I'm just saying, I mean, if I'm the winningest coach of all time at school, you would think a guy like Marcus Freeman would be like, hey, let me call up good old Brian, who's auctioning and politicking for a job on TV. What does he think about Notre Dame? I mean, right? I mean, Lou was coaching 30, 40 years ago. You got a guy that had a better record just a couple years ago who put you on a lot, some would say. I don't know. That's just interesting. But it does speak to Lou being great and Marcus Freeman doing his due diligence as a guy who wants the statue. You got to show respect to the OGs. You got to get that classic one-on-one interview with them at some point. Have some stories to tell when they ask and bring up, his name to Coach Freeman. So, Coach Freeman know how to do the face of the program job real well. And, for them to be able to bring up a couple stories and pictures of them too just shows Marcus Freeman is, like Lou Holtz was saying, be entrenched with what Notre Dame is. And that includes its OGs. Even though we don't have a ring of honor, we got a pretty good sense of who would be the 5 people you would want to have dinner with in Notre Dame football history. You go to dinner with Eric Parsegian, people would do it. So Marcus Freeman has basically metaphorically done that. Went to dinner with all the greats of Notre Dame in a sense that is relevant to him, and especially when he can recall on different things. And, that means a lot. And hopefully he's taking that grain of salt from each of these meetings like a Lou Holtz and other people he's meeting of Notre Dame and add that to his legacy at Notre Dame.
That's a great That's a great topic you bring up. I will go ahead and submit that to everyone watching. If you had one dinner, party of 4, including you, that means you could take 3 other people, a Notre Dame coaches, players, present or past. Who would be in your group? Who would be in the 4 for your reservation if you were going out to dinner? Any Notre Dame past or present player or coach? Let us know. Put us in the chat. I'm interested in seeing the answers that we get. This should be pretty interesting. Once again, you have reservations for 4, including yourself. Who else are you taking to be part of your party of 4 for dinner? Any Notre Dame player or coach, present or past? Put it in the chat. We want to know. It's LL question of the day, Lucky Lefty Podcast. All right, Left. Coach Freeman was then asked about the mantra, leave no doubt. The mantra, leave no doubt. How are you going about making sure that you use it correctly? This is what he had to say.
Well, I think when we started with that messaging, we have to utilize the situation we were in last year. So if we use that situation where we were left out of the playoffs as an opportunity to blame the committee, to blame somebody else, you're not utilizing the decision that was made. We have to use that to make sure we leave no doubt as we go into this season. But leave no doubt is not just in the game of football. It's you as a person, right? And I tell our players all the time, if you want to be a starter, you have to leave no doubt. If you want to play more, you have to leave no doubt. If you want to get your degree, you have to leave no doubt. And so it's a mindset to put the work in. Right, it's a reminder to put the work in that gives you an opportunity to leave no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. And if anything, just what it means in the greater sense of having attention to detail, you're consistent, you're thorough, and that's encompassing leaving no doubt, right? So to be a starter, you got to be thorough. You got to know your P's and Q's, do your job, be consistent, be reliable. That leaves no doubt, right? You be a trust. He always said the best thing you can do in a leadership role or just as an impact on your team is do your job. You do that, everything else is cool. And I think Marcus Freeman's additive to that is, yeah, you got to do your job, but within that, do it at a level where, we can't replace you, right? You always go in there and say, okay, they offering kids every year to try to replace you. You got to make a statement where they can't not play you. That's the magic remedy. Play so good they can't not play you. So that level of expectation exists, man. And he's right. I mean, he's been holding that true for the last 4 years. You think of when he had those conversations with the quarterbacks about transferring. He was like, y'all leave a lot of doubt. Shoot, I got to get somebody that's leaving no doubt in that transfer portal, number one, whatever, So that's a good standard to have, and hopefully we execute.
Yeah, I think the mantra, like I said, once spring is done, I don't want to hear that mantra anymore.
Right.
Like, let that set the tone. And then once you go into fall camp, even if it's still an undercurrent, now it's just time to go out and handle business. It's time to go out and handle business. That's the way I see it, my personal opinion. Marcus Freeman said this is the best offseason he's had during his tenure at Notre Dame. Check it out.
I think they've approached this offseason with the right mindset, with the right urgency. This is probably the best offseason we've had so far. Number one is because we've had more time, right?
Yeah.
To stop playing the last game being in November, you really do a little bit of stuff in December, and to really start your offseason workout right when they get here in January. I think we're further ahead in terms of the development of the team. You have both coordinators back. You have your starting quarterback back. You got a lot of guys returning. So we're in a different place than we've been in the past. But again, there's new talent here. There's new coaches here that I use this analogy and I say, listen, when you're in a relationship, there's expectations. And no matter if you were in this football program last year as a coach or a player, or you weren't, now we've all went through the struggles of the 2025 season, even the 24 season. There's expectations that no matter, maybe you come from a place that was in the playoffs. No, you were left out. You didn't make the playoffs last year. And so we have to utilize that as we continue to attack every situation.
I mean, like you said, I think that's exactly what you mean by I don't want to hear that going into the new year. There's guys on the team that went to the playoffs, transferred in. So, if anything, you want to start the year saying more so our consistency of starting fast has got to be there. That's been the biggest Achilles heel, just starting too slow. It hasn't been so much us not being the team we want to be. It was more so we're not playing at the level out the gate. So whatever message that is, that needs to be conveyed. And I guess leave no doubts included in some of that, but that doesn't sound like something fast either. That doesn't sound like something that starts fast and has impact early when you say and leave no doubt. That sounds like some time. I felt like we didn't leave no doubt in the regular season last year. There was no doubt we should have been in the playoffs last year. So, if anything, we answered Marcus Freeman's question of leave no doubt because you finished the year 10 games straight, 30, 40 points a game, shutting people down, top defense. I mean, you left no doubt. I mean, there was no doubt people said we deserve to be in there. Now, obviously you played semantics and all that other stuff, but I think people could hang their hat on last year and be like, I thought we did pretty good. But this year, I think to raise it has got to be a fresh mantra, something applies to the moment. Leave no doubt just sounds like it takes a long time for that to happen. Maybe start a fire or something like, hit them right now. There's something about now. That maybe needs to be the mantra because if we seem to be fine in the journey of the season. Like we get stronger as the year goes on, but that's the thing. We were weaker at the beginning. Could it be a possibility to be strong throughout? I think that's the level.
I mean, my only pushback would be you didn't prove you could beat a good team last year. You just didn't. You played 2 to start the season. You lost both games.
I mean, that's subjective, though.
Whoa. How is that subjective?
I thought we played
who? USC is trash. I don't respect USC.
People would consider USC a good team.
They're not even a good team in the Big Ten conference.
People would consider them good. Were they Alabama or whatever? No.
People like who? The committee didn't consider them a good team.
Are you just referring to we didn't beat a team that was potentially
better?
They
didn't beat the best teams on their roster. So therefore, they didn't lead. They left out. Period. The 2 best teams on your schedule, you lost to. That's just a fact. That's a fact. We can sit up here and talk about my opinion, this, that, and the other, what they were at the end of the year. The fact remains there were 2 elite teams, playoff teams on their schedule, and they lost to both of them. You can't go around that. You can't go underneath that. You have to face the fact that last year, when they had the biggest test, they failed. It's like acing all of your quizzes, all of your tests, and doing bad on your midterm and your final.
No, because that's like going to your midterm and your final and missing a couple questions. You still got a good grade.
Stop.
You still got a good grade.
No,
you may have missed a weighted question. You may have missed a question that was
worth more points. If you miss a question that's worth more points, you're not getting an A. That's not an A. That's not an A.
But you can get a B+. That's still good.
But that's still doubt. That's still doubt.
You know the information. You know you ain't.
Dude, there is nothing. Getting a B+ on the test is like shooting a 21-foot jumper. You take a step back and get 3 instead of 2. Like, what are you doing?
I think that's a harsh comparison.
The Notre Dame season was a 21-foot jumper.
If you took your mom home a B+ right now, she would be happy with it, though.
You don't know Catherine Davis.
We talk about 91.5.
You don't know Catherine Davis. Her first questions would be, which ones did you miss? Why did you miss them? Did you know the answer?
But when you check the bottom of the card, what the card say? The overall, the GPA. Okay. So then the questions of what you missed is like, okay, but the 3.8 is still there. Oh, we splitting hairs? Oh, okay. I think that's a little overly critical.
It's the difference between San Antonio and OKC being true contenders and everybody else not being true contenders for a championship. I mean, it is what it is.
They're young guys with young legs. You know?
Yeah. But it's funny how you use the youth to benefit your conversation earlier.
Huh?
You were talking about the young legs supporting the old man earlier, but now the young legs.
Oh, I said veteran leadership. See, there's a difference.
Okay.
Say a lot of things like broken down. Veteran leadership experience ain't never old.
He's still old. I don't care how you slice it. Lucky Lefty podcast. He was asked about getting off to a fast start. This is what Coach Freeman had to say about getting his team off to a fast start this year.
It was a big offseason study for myself and our leadership staff members that we have. Like, we haven't in my 4 years started the way I aspire, anybody in this building aspires to start. And yeah, number one, we play probably the best opponents to start seeing, but that's part of being independent. That's part of being at Notre Dame. Like, we can't change that. And so we have to understand we can complain about it, or we can make sure we evaluate everything we're doing to give us a chance to start faster. And what does it mean to start fast? It means that we're performing at a higher level than we've had in previous years. So we've evaluated off-season training. We've evaluated our fall training camp and looked at science, looked at how we practice, looked at the mental, the physical, and hopefully this new, not recreated, but just some slight adjustments produces a better result, right? And everybody has a process. And at the end of the day, your process hopefully spits out the results that you want. And so we've kind of tailored a little bit, right? We haven't blown anything up. We've kind of looked and studied and had discussions and said, okay, how do we want to approach? It really started in the winter. How do we want to approach winter conditioning as we get into spring ball? And then we kind of went to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, very similar to the NFL. And okay, after spring ball, then in the summer, how are we going to implement our phases? And how do we want to look at fall camp? Do we want to move an off day? Do we want to change the way, we're preparing in terms of our practice emphasis? And so all those things, we do it every year, but I think there was a big emphasis this year to say, okay, we have to make sure we're as ready as possible as we get ready for the start of the season. And I'm excited to really dive into that. And then we'll evaluate it after those games, right? We'll evaluate how we truly perform, maybe after the season, but for sure after those first couple games.
Well, that would have been great to use for last year, but unfortunately, there's no metric to see if you started fast, considering 11.5 favored victories on the year. Like, like I mean, unless we played 2 playoff teams in the first 2 games like last year, there's no real metric to say we got to start the season faster. Because what you gonna put 70 on whoever we play first? It's not gonna get the job. That's not gonna prove anything because that's exactly what people was talking about last time. You put 70 on Syracuse, they gave you negative reviews. So putting 70 on the first opponent this year is just not gonna prove nothing. I think, the caveat is starting fast against good teams. wherever they lay on the schedule. And we just had a bad situation last year because you got to have one of the 2 things going into starting fast when you're playing against top competition. And that's having an experienced quarterback with an offense going into the year that you know what you're going to get. Or you don't play another top team in the first game. I mean, we just had 2 of the things you got to have one, and we didn't have either one. We played a really good team, and we didn't know what we really had coming out, even though we were good. So, now you know what you got, but you don't got a good team you're going against first game. So the whole starting fast formula is still, out the window. Last year, we just didn't have the 2 variables needed. This year, we got one of them, but we don't have the opponent. So to be able to know where you're at, obviously, you're going to have somebody at that level. And we might not see that until the playoffs. But that's a good thing because we should be rolling. We shouldn't be having issues. But the standard of if we've gotten better from last year, I think only comes against teams that, give us something.
Do you think a fast start is more about the offense or the defense?
It's definitely about the offense because, what's a fast start on defense when you have to stop people? I think you can lose your first game 3-0, and you're just going to think, man, the offense is having a slow start. You don't even talk about defense; you talk about losing. So fast start is predicated offensively. What was the biggest notice of change when Marcus Freeman had his first game as a head coach? He had 500 yards of passing offense. It's a fast start. We was up 28 points in the first half or something crazy. It's a fast start because of the offense. Now, we ain't seen that since. I mean, look at NIU. Defense was great. They had 17 points. That's a fast start, I guess, but you had 16 points on offense. That's a slow start. So when you don't really know what you got, it's going to be tough. And then you just happen to be playing a playoff team in the first. That's just a tough combination. Now, you know what you got offensively. You know what it's supposed to look like, and there's no excuse on what it's supposed to be. No surprise, I guess. So you're going to have a fast start. CJ throwing for 300 in the first game, likely, because he had 12 games to know what it looked like before. So it's a fast start. Defense, you won't know if it's something wrong if we scoring 40 points. If they scored 28 and we got 40 points, you going to say defense something wrong? I mean, you can nitpick, but you got 40 points. It's a fast start. Start the game with 40 points So 100% is predicated on your offense as in terms of starting fast because defense has always been the stable. It's always kept us in games, won us a few games in the end. But we held Ohio State to the lowest that they had that season. when we played them at Ohio State. And we lost. We didn't call it no fast start, but that's a fast start for defense because that's the best that anybody's ever held them. but we felt terrible because we couldn't score no points. So fast start is literally talking about the offense and mainly talking about the quarterback. You got a guy coming in for year 2. That's a fast start because you already know this is what we're supposed to be looking like.
Yeah, I can agree with that, Left. I think it's very important for the Notre Dame offense this year. We're going to hear from CJ Carr talking about where they are in their installation of the offense this year and break that down coming up. But you need to go over to FanDuel, FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app. This is Lucky Lefty Podcast. I'm Sean Davis, SD2 Mics, that dude, the original Lucky Lefty himself, MALIK ZAIRE. We're brought to you by Honora Whiskey, presented by FanDuel. And you need to check out Bleav Network, audio side each and every day, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. If you go over to FanDuel, what you will find is some more win totals. And we go to the ACC. Clemson, 7.5. Not much expected for the Tigers and Dabo Swinney this year. Georgia Tech, their win total is at 6.5. Ugh. Louisville, 7.5 wins. And these are like the top teams in the ACC. Miami, who comes in the first Saturday in November to Notre Dame Stadium, they're sitting a game behind Notre Dame with their win total at 10.5. And another opponent for the Fighting Irish, the SMU Mustangs, they're sitting at 8.5. You can find that and much more over at FanDuel, FanDuel.com. Download the FanDuel app. Now, we want to continue to hear from Marcus Freeman on Always College Football with Greg McElroy. We heard from him talking about the approach, the offseason. But now let's hear about the players, his thoughts on the players. And we'll start with none other than the betting favorite to win the Heisman over at FanDuel, your starting quarterback for the Fighting Irish, CJ Carr. And he talked about the steps that CJ Carr has taken this offseason to get better. This is what he had to say.
I have no concerns with what CJ Carr can handle mentally, physically. He's an elite preparer. Like, he prepares the right way. He's a student of the game. I caught him in there watching film of his first spring. Like, that's the type of football player. He's watching his progression from the first spring. And I don't know exactly what he was watching. Was he watching concepts or certain type of play calls? But
it wasn't a highlight reel, was it?
No,
oh, hey, coach. Hey, look at that throw. I put that in.
Definitely not. But I think being a returning quarterback, you're still only as good as those other guys on the field with you. And what you're seeing him do is take another step in terms of the leadership. Hey, let's get together maybe on a Saturday and we're going to throw routes on air, or we're going to, meet and watch film. And that's, to me, the step that you've seen CJ take, like the leadership aspect, the ability to say, this is what we're doing. This is what time we're doing it, and everybody's expected to be there. And that's what you want to see in your returning starter quarterback.
That was your expectation of him anyway. It's great to hear from Coach Freeman that he's doing that he's preparing that way, getting the guys together in the offseason and kind of making it mandatory to show up. But that's the expectation for a great team. That's the expectation.
Yeah, it's pretty much laid out for you, man. You just got to win in the big moments.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. It really is about the big moments, especially now for CJ Carr. He will be measured by Miami, SMU, and any other game that comes down to the fourth quarter. That's definitely when he's going to be measured to show whether or not he ends up being one of the great ones at Notre Dame. And he might only have one season to do it if he has a great season. And like FanDuel predicts, if he wins the Heisman Trophy, more than likely he's out of here. He's out of here next year. So short runway for CJ Carr to accomplish a lot of things. But he has the leadership, and he's showing the leadership to be able to get it done. Lucky Podcast. He was also asked about his leadership and what that means to the team this year. This is what he had to say.
I think he's a natural born leader. He has those intangible traits that some of the best leaders I've ever been around have. But as you just said, when you're not the starter, you're in a quarterback battle, or you're a young guy and you're the first time starting, it's hard to be that vocal leader until you're actually out there doing it. And what you saw is his growth in leadership over the course of the season grow, right? And I remember meeting with him weekly and challenge him, hey, ultimately, you're only as good as the guys on the field. If the route's not right, if the guy's not running as hard as you want, or you think he should be running, like, you have to hold him accountable. And I always remind CJ, like, leadership is ultimately influence, right? Your ability to influence the group you're around. If it's the same when you're there versus when you're not, then there's not much influence, right, that you have. And so he continues to influence the offense and the team in a positive way. He makes those guys around him better, and it's also making him a better version of himself. And so I'm really pleased with his leadership. I'm pleased with the work that he has put in, and also the ability to drag those other guys on the offense with him to do the work that's necessary.
I think one of the things that's going to be tested for CJ this year in the terms of leadership is being able to replace Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love as the cornerstone of the offense. When things got tough, it was very easy, not only for CJ Carr, not only for everybody else on that field, not only for offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock, very easy to say the passing game is not in sync today. All right, 24 stretch, 32 power. Like, we're going to get the ball to our best two players. That is a luxury. That's a luxury that a lot of teams haven't had. And CJ Carr is going to have to become that cornerstone for Mike Denbrock and the other players to be able to lean on in tough times to say, hey, this isn't working. The run game isn't going this week. CJ, take over.
Yeah, only problem, nobody's been in that position before. I don't think we'll necessarily be in that position where we just can't run the football. But, when you talk about 30, 40 points a game, a chunk of that is going to have to come from CJ, or more of that is going to have to come from CJ in some way, indirectly, directly. But I think what happens too is that, he's never been in those situations per se. 2-minute drive. You got to put the team on your back down double digits. Like you said, run game's not working. You got to throw our way to win. He'll experience more of that this year. But his biggest thing he has to do, which Marcius Freeman's talked about, is selling belief. CJ needs to end his career with guys telling stories of, man, that's my favorite guy to catch football from. Like, he wasn't fast or couldn't throw bombs necessarily, but, man, his connection, man, he would just be telling me stuff and he just knew the game. Like, that's the stuff that people have to talk about CJ for, because physically he's not going to have the Mahomes story of, man, one day in practice, he threw it 500 yards against the wind, and it was never seen nothing like that. He's not going to have those stories. We said earlier, CJ's best ability is to play well amongst the guys who are also playing well. So the whole leadership thing that he talks about, that's important, because if guys can believe in CJ, he can get the football to you. He may not do something, run around crazy, no look, whatever, but you run that out on time, you run that post to win, you run that route at 10, not 12 yards. Oh, you're gonna get the ball. And that's CJ's greatest strength. Put guys in the right place. They'll get better because of it. You'll get better because of that. He's going to put you into place. Check, check, check. Run this, kill, whatever, flip Omaha. And he can take you and put you in a position where you take 5 and you get 20. But you got to get that 15. CJ gonna get you the potential of 20. He gonna set you up at 5, but you might got to make a guy miss to get the 20. You know what I mean? You got to do some work. But that's the relationship. A guy like Caleb Williams, all right, you can't pick it up. Let me go get the 20. Let me do some heroic jump over, dude, slide, fake a dude, 1 foot out of bounds, throw the ball behind my back, that whole thing. That's not CJ. And we shouldn't treat him like that either. Then Brock. Quarterback draw. Okay, we're going to throw post. Like, that's not the play calling for CJ. It's a play calling for Superman. And fortunately, we don't need him to be Superman. We just need him to just get the ball to guys. Like, we got 3,000 potential players this year, skill players. I mean, who knows? You can just close your eyes and pick one, and they're going to do something. The connection is CJ has to tell him, this is what I need you to do specifically. Like Faison. Faison and CJ get along because Faison going to run them comebacks. He going to catch them little bubbles and little short screens. And Faison going to do more with it. That's their connection. Hit these little screens, hit these comebacks on these rollouts. Maybe hit a 10 and out on a little man route. That's it. You my dog. I trust you. And giving credit to CJ, he need to get a bunch of guys like that. He need to replace his go guy like MALIK, his cross the field guy like Will Pollard. He need to, who gonna be them roles? It's like LeBron. I need you to sit in that corner. And when I throw it to you, you gotta hit the 3. Like, that's it. I don't need you nothing. I don't need you dribbling. I don't even need you playing defense. When I drive and kick it, your only job is to knock it down. That's it. And that's how CJ got to run the show. When we do big play action, Miles Graham, your only job is to win on this post. That's it. That's it. That's all I need you to do. If you can't win on the post, we can't do much with you because I'm a system guy. And there's nothing wrong with that. But he needs his, like you say, you can't have your peas and your carrots touching. Your potatoes.
Whoa. Who said that? Who said the peas and carrots can't touch? Hey, hold on.
Some people like that. Some people don't like peas and carrots touching. You got to have everything in its right place. Okay,
I'm all for the vegetable medleys, bro.
Okay. You gotta put your spoons and your forks in the right cabinet. Don't be putting it in the drawer where the plastic and the trash bags go. You gotta put the spoons and the knives in the spoons and the knife cupboard. I don't want to find my forks and spoons in the pantry with my chips. I'm gonna be disoriented. So I want CJ to use these 5,000 skill players we have in specific ways. That's how we can see the most success.
I think Lucky Lefty podcast. All right. Let's go on to hear what Coach Freeman had to say about, of course, the running back room. Coach Freeman mentioned today that they had to ask walk-ons so they can have numbers at the running back position with a few running backs sitting out. Of course, Keegan Young, Javian Osborne, So Nolan James Jr. and Aeneas will be out for a little bit. So Nolan James Jr. seems like he's going to be the guy getting the opportunity to really shine to start the spring, along with the walk-ons and freshmen. This is what he had to say about the running back room.
You're not going to replace Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price with one guy, right? You can't do those. You might not ever find another duo like that. But how do we replace the production? And a couple of those guys are injured, right? Aeneas will be limited in the spring. Kedron's just coming back from an ACL from last season, and Nolan James, who's another guy that was in our program, he should be full go. But and then you got 2 freshmen coming in, and so how do we continue to replace the production? If you watch the plays they were in, you watch Aeneas Williams when he was in the game, he's productive, right? He just didn't get the opportunity that Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love got. But remember making the play as a freshman versus Penn State in the Orange Bowl down the sideline, and even watching his clips from last year, man, he's done a really good job. And I often say this, Greg, that players earn the trust of their teammates in respect of their coaches way before the national media, the national spotlight. So you think about some of the best players that we've had in this program. We knew through practice, we knew through the way they prepared that they were going to be really good players for us. They just had to get the opportunity in the game. And so those guys that are in the running backs room, they're good players now. They're really good players. And I'm excited to see the whole nation witness what we've seen in practice in summer training for a couple years.
Well, the thing is, Aeneas not going to get the amount of carries Darian and Jeremiah Love got anyway. And it is a little concerning how you're not healthy already. Like, we ain't even started yet. But
I think it's the same elbow issue from last year. So I don't know if it's just like trying to save him after the offseason, because they had Lauren Lando said it today. Because of the playoff run last year, they only had 2.5 weeks of off-season training heading into spring practice. This year, it was 8 weeks of off-season training, which is totally different. So I don't know if it's just regular wear and tear. They know he's had the elbow last year. Maybe they're just trying to give him some rest because they already know we just need to have him good to go for the fall. Let's give Nolan James an opportunity to get more opportunities so he can be ready along with Kedron going into the fall. Because it's not like it's a new injury. It's like it's the elbow, maybe lifting and doing everything that they were doing in the offseason. It's a little sore. So they're just making the judgment call to say, you know what, Aeneas, don't even worry about it. Go ahead, rest up. We'll see you in the fall. Maybe not. But I agree with the running back room. I'm not worried about the running back room because the history of Notre Dame is running backs in Notre Dame are just good.
Yeah, we just need them to be serviceable. They need to be complimented. For them to be young, they can play a compliment role to CJ. CJ need a 2-3 yards here to get some space, whatever the case is. They can do that, which is a good role for these running backs because they don't have to fill the 2,500 yards between the two. That's what Marcus Freeman understands. Like he said, he's like, we're not going to find the same two guys. I mean, that's just unrealistic. So his expectation is not going to be we need almost 3,000 yards out of this room. He understands that. And I think that's what makes it a little easier for him to be like, we got a lot of guys in there. We're going to test a lot of guys out. Somebody going to run the ball, but that's not what's going to fuel this offense over the hump.
Lucky Lefty Podcast. Let's get to now, like you said, Left, it's a lot of weapons that have been added to give CJ Carr a lot more options. And
because that's the thing. It's like, well, you know, they're not going to get the ball enough. I mean, if they can dominate when they get the ball, that's great. But they're not going to have the carries to dominate the game. I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Because one, you don't know they can do it yet, and two, this is through CJ. You know, I mean, I would imagine. I'm only saying is I would imagine like they're like we have to turn the ball over to him. You know, he got to be the kicker in this. I don't know.
Well, none of that matters. All of the weapons he's been given doesn't matter if the offensive line can't protect and block. And we're hearing about rumblings of movement on the offensive line. This is what Coach Freeman had to say about that.
In our building and in a couple meetings, I don't know, man. You know what we're talking about. But as you said, we have a lot of returning production. When you think about Ashton Craig and Anthony Knapp and Gerby Lambert and some of those guys that have played, it's just, as you just said, how do we move them around so that it's what's best for them, but also what's best for Notre Dame, right? And who are going to be the pieces maybe that haven't been out there in the spotlight that we know they're going to have to help us. And so I think in the spring we're going to move them around. We're going to move a couple guys other than Ashton Craig, who's a center. Like we're going to move some guys around to say, okay, how do we figure out who's the best five and also put those five in a position to have success? And so, you know, after spring, you're going to want to say, okay, these are the five guys. This is going to be where you're going to truly be playing as we look to the fall. But I think in the spring, you know, you can really move them around. Knapp's a guy that can play guard or tackle. Sullivan Absher is a guy that can play inside, outside. Gerby Lambert can play inside and outside. So how do we move these guys that might have been our starting tackles or starting guards around so we can figure out who's the best five as we get ready for the fall?
I'm going to say this because a lot of people will point to Charles Jagusah. I think this offensive line is now in position because of recruiting and development. They're in position to where, you know, Jagusah was going to be the reason why the offensive line was at an elite level, particularly last year. I think this year, they're just at a place now where, you know, they have multiple guys in multiple positions that can play at a top-notch level and multiple guys that can play elite at multiple positions. And I think that goes a long way to what the discussions have been now about the movement on the offensive line. The name Anthony Knapp always comes to the forefront. By the way, he was voted as one of the top 10 returning tackles in college football. So shout out to Anthony Knapp. But I just think, you know, the offensive line, the depth and the talent is such now that, you know, even as talented and promising as Charles Jagusah was when we saw him play, and as athletic and great as we think he can be, if he doesn't play, Notre Dame still, the expectation should still be Notre Dame having an elite offensive line this season. That should be the expectation, without question. He was asked about the defensive line with the new additions in the transfer portal and the elevation, not the elevation, but the maturation of Boubacar Traore and Bryce Young. This is what he had to say about his defensive line.
I think it's an understanding that we're going to need everybody. How many guys we play will be determined based on how many guys we can put out there, and the execution of play doesn't lower, right? I think that's important, is that, okay, if we put the backup in when he's fresh, we expect him to perform probably at the level that maybe the starter would perform if he's fatigued. So that's why you rotate guys, especially when you have depth. This is probably the deepest defensive tackle position I've been a part of with the guys we brought in, with the guys we have coming back. We have a deep defensive tackle room. On the edge, we have two returning starters, and we've added some pieces that we're going to have to need to continue to figure out who's going to be our top 4 DNs. And here's what I'll tell you, Greg, is that if there's ever a situation where you have a Jeremiah Love type player on the D line, in any position on the field, you have to make sure you're not doing a disservice to your team, right?
Yeah.
If Boubacar Traore is a guy that maybe needs to play 60 plays because he can play 60 plays at a high level, then Boubacar Traore is going to play that many plays. But we hope we can rotate guys. I hope they don't have to play over 40 reps and we're performing at a high level. But we owe it to the players, too, to make sure that if they need to be on the field and they help our team play at a higher elevation when they're on the field, that we'll keep them on the field.
Ooh, the snaps at D tackle are going to be very interesting this year. Very interesting this year. I mean, you got Mukum, he comes back. Onye, Tion Gray, Francis Brew, the 2 transfers. Right, then you got your youngsters. Tiki Hole is going to be out for the year. I love what they have. They lose Josh Burnham, and a lot of people can be upset about that, but I think Cole Mullins is going to be an even more twitchier version of what Josh Burnham ended up being. And Josh Burnham, I think, is going to be a beast for Indiana. I think he's going to be absolutely amazing for Indiana. I do. I think he fits everything that they do, especially the way they set the edge against the run. Josh Burnham is very good against the run. But just the games and the twist that they run and how well they play together up front, he doesn't have to go there and just ISO solo rush the passer. I think with the games that they play and how they play together, he's going to get opportunities to really make an impact for Indiana. But even with that said, I think, Keon Keeley, like I said, Cole Mullins, hopefully Logan Thomas can be healthy, get an opportunity. I think Notre Dame is going to be just fine on the defensive line.
Absolutely. I mean, we want to consider our defensive line in waves until we have a formal star appear. I just think it just needs to be the 1A, 1B model that we were successful with our championship run, where a guy like Traore may be out, but his guy behind him is just as effective. And that's a good model, especially with a guy like Charlie Partridge, who's trying to figure out who his star is to see if we can get waves of guys in there. Because I'm sure there's, like you said, no set line of who's out there. And it could be a good thing that we can rotate in the beginning. We know that depth, especially and particularly at that position, is important late in the season, and to have at least 7 or 8 guys that are viable. We can look at ourselves from when we lost Riley Mills before the playoffs, and just to see the waves of guys that were productive, not so much of a Riley Mills backup that was like Riley Mills,
Yeah. I'm encouraged up front. I think this team up front physically, and just hearing Lauren Lando, we'll play the clip tomorrow in its entirety, but Lauren Lando today said, when asked about the most dominant or the most impressive groups from workouts, strength and conditioning, he said the offensive and defensive lines, flat out. He was like, their strength and how they performed as groups, it's just really encouraging, the strength levels that they've hit. And I think it's time for this Notre Dame team to just be bullies and dominate on both sides of the ball. And we did a full show saying that this is one of the best opportunities that a Notre Dame team has had to be able to dominate the trenches on both sides of the ball in a long time. So we'll see whether or not they can get it done. So that was Marcus Freeman on Always College Football with Greg and McElroy. Subscribe, hit that like button, and then leave your comments, questions. We indeed respond to all. Lucky Lefty Podcast, Sean Davis, MALIK, ZAIRE, presented by FanDuel, FanDuel.com. And if you go over there now, win totals are out for college football, and we go to the Big Ten. There's some interesting win totals in the Big Ten. We start with the Indiana Hoosiers, the defending national champions. They're at 10.5. That's their win total. The Michigan Wolverines, with their new coach, Cal Whittingham, at 8.5. The Ohio State Buckeyes and Ryan Day, they feel like last year was a disappointment losing to Miami in the quarterfinals. And he wants Julian Sand to use his legs to get back to that national championship. This is the surprise for me, Love. The Penn State Nittany Lions have a win total of 9.5. They have the same win total as Ohio State. That is shocking to me. Matt Campbell must have some magic that he's bringing from Ames, Iowa.
Yeah, the Cyclones.
Yeah, that's exactly. They're the Penn State Cyclones this year. Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans, 8.5 wins. 8.5 wins is their win total. You can find that and much more over at FanDuel. FanDuel.com. Download the FanDuel app. Notre Dame's week 1 opponent. 16.5-point favorites are the Fighting Irish over FanDuel. And the Wisconsin Badgers, 6.5 is the win total. 6.5 points. You can get that and much more over at FanDuel. FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel app. All right, Left. Now, let's go to Wake Up the Echoes. Isaiah Dunn, Notre Dame players, Isaiah Dunn, CJ Carr, and Jordan Faison joined the show. And they got to this debate. You know how we talk to former Notre Dame players, and it was always surrounding a debate surrounding who was the best basketball player on the team and in the program year to year, even when you were there. And it went back decades before you, when like Big O and Reggie were there, and they would have a bookstore basketball tournament every year. And the basketball squad will have a squad, and then the football team will go out and compete. And so in some years, the football team actually won the tournament. That was big back in the day for your new school Notre Dame fans, younger Notre Dame fans. Reading about that was a big deal with the great loose emoji summarizing everything. But on Wake Up the Echoes, now I guess the thing is the ping pong table in the middle of the locker room. That is like the big debate now left. And so they they argued about that. Check it out.
And I had to play one of them.
Oh shoot!
If I had to play one of them, I would rather play CJ. But
wait.
Can I tell you what?
As in, like,
I have to win. Because I personally, CJ knows he has a weakness.
You're lying.
Everyone has kryptonite, and it's
lying.
okay. Everyone has kryptonite. Jordan knows. He's seen it happen. When CJ sees my eyes, and we get to going.
Okay, but think about this. Think about this.
You've said this. You kind of have the mental edge over CJ.
No, he does not.
It bothers me.
But FaZe is never on the table, so how would you know you couldn't do that to FaZe?
No, I've tried. It doesn't work.
It doesn't
FaZe
work.
on me.
FaZe is terrible.
It doesn't work.
FaZe
And
is
the thing
terrible.
is, I haven't been on the table in a while. And
Not a while.
I still hear
Years. It's been
echoes in the
years.
locker room of my name. And I
So when they say wake up the echoes, that's
It's
what
FaZe
it's
on.
me up. And some of the youngins, the freshmen that came in, I haven't played in a while. One of them challenged me at the table, so I said,
You can
why
name
not?
names.
Devin Fitzgerald called me.
Bond.
out.
Okay, yeah.
Terrible.
But listen. I was like, why not?
Terrible.
Why not? We got a youngin, let me see if I still got it. And I got on that table, immediately skills right back.
Yeah.
And it just took me back to the time when CJ would call me out onto the table.
FaZe, and you never beat me.
And I just beat him every
You've
time.
never beat
Okay,
me.
I have
Okay, we got to set the record straight because there's a lot of mis and disinfo going around. What is the record between you guys?
Undefeated.
Whoa.
It doesn't matter.
See, that's a lie.
Now he's
and
the one that
Isaiah
numbers.
could back me up on that.
Listen, that's a
insane.
lie. But what I will say this, hold on.
Who's one more?
I will say
Oh,
this:
man.
watching them play, I do feel CJ has typically.
Thank you. Thank you.
But
because I'm the
That's a
best.
But I say when I'm playing you or Jack.
Stop. Okay.
No, you and Jack
First
are
of
in
all,
a very.
Jack should not be.
No,
in
you
the
guys are in.
conversation
Nope,
here.
you guys are in a similar category.
Bro, we can't-
It's easy to get in your guys', work around like a
I'm not even
globetrotter.
gonna
It doesn't work with
entertain
FaZe
that.
on.
I'm not even
It doesn't
entertaining
work.
that.
It doesn't work with him.
There's a quote actually by one of our previous teammates, Riley Leonard. He actually said,
Terrible.
I was one of the best he's ever seen.
'Cause
I
he's
was
not
the best
good.
he's ever seen on the table.
Because he's not good.
I was the best he's ever, but he hasn't said that about you. I didn't hear
This
it.
is what it is. This is what it is in ping pong.
here we go.
Is 2 years in a row now I've been snubbed for the best ping pong table player on the team in our final votes at the end of the year. This is why. Because I beat everyone and then they don't want to vote for me.
That conversation was hilarious, bro. It went on for like a good 4 minutes. And the competitive nature of CJ Carr is very evident. He just hates to lose.
That's fair.
He hates to lose, and you could
Hate
tell.
can get in his head though. I didn't like that.
Isaiah Dove was talking Cash Money about being able to get in his head.
Definitely didn't like that. But it's hard for me to talk about this because it's just sinful that they just keep playing in the middle of the locker room. Like, who does that? It's like, would you play spades or eat cookout food on your mom's nice china? You just don't do that. SD, you just don't do that. You don't play in that living room that is super with the white carpet. You just don't do that. So you talking about living in sin? All of it's bad for me.
Jordan Faison was very confident and smooth with his CJ. Come on, man.
Like as he should, we like that. He said he had to show the ropes off. You guys are talking Cash Money, but I like that they find things to compete with and find unity with outside of football. That's always a great thing. There's a lot of why people talk about something different about the Notre Dame locker room, where everybody hangs out with everybody, and a lot of that is centered around competing in silly, random stuff. That's way more important than it should be, like ping pong. And you find yourself playing linemen, freshmen, seniors, whoever talking that crazy. It's fair game. You might even catch his strength and conditioning coach walking through. But that's why they say, it's a different vibe in the locker room because of things like that. There's competition in fun ways outside of just football.
I like how Jordan Faison said he had to put the freshman in his place.
He coming out here.
All right, freshie, Devin Fitzgerald, just because he plays in his daddy's basement thinks he's going to call me out. Had to put him in his place.
Not happening.
Did you guys have video games in the locker room?
Oh, yeah, we were big on the video games, and we didn't play respectfully in the locker room, though. That's just, I remember walking in there like, what is going on? How you just walk into your kid's room and it's just so, it's like, this is not how we live it, man. We got to clean this up. I was seeing all type of stuff, and I was like, what? It looked like one of them downstairs communal places at apartment complexes. You see a little vending machine in there. You see a little ping pong. You're like, what? I need some sacrecy in the locker room. Where the altars at? Where the countdown clock? Where the sacred stuff at? Where the shrines in the locker room? We need some of that going. Too much fun in that place.
It's so funny. Something else, because you watched it, and we both watched it, the full interview, but another thing that was funny to me was CJ threw Anthony Knapp under the bus because he lived with them when they first got to campus, and he talked about how sloppy he was and was one of the worst people to live with. Because I think the question was, if you had to go away on an RV trip, which teammate would you want to take and which teammate wouldn't you want to take? And all of a sudden it opened up into a conversation of how the offensive linemen are not tidy in the locker room. And I was like, wait a minute. Really? What was the least tidy area of the locker room when you were there?
Probably somewhere in the defense, linebackers or something.
What you trying to say, Tavon and the crew and Jalen didn't care?
No, Jalen was cool. They just had a bunch of just stuff. You got a bunch of stuff in there. Running backs were hit and miss. Receivers, they were pretty tidy. But yeah, the defense. We were generally pretty. It was just a different stand. We wouldn't know. The bottom of your locker be messy, you throw whatever in there. But generally, it was pretty clean,
Yeah. Lucky Lefty podcast. So CJ Carr was then asked about how was this new offense come along, the install of the offense. And this is what he had to say, Left. I knew you would love to hear this.
I think at this point it's we've kind of gotten away from the big picture stuff and are now into the details of each play. And so being able to get with guys like Jordan and JG and Micah and some of those veteran guys and really kind of grinding down on what we want out of specific plays and how we can make them the most successful, the most explosive is kind of where we're at now. And I think moving forward now it's on us. The coaches can call the plays and put us in the best situation they think will be successful. But when we're out there, we got to be the ones executing. We got to be the ones making plays. We got to be the ones getting us into the right play call, protection, and all that. And so kind of taking a step up in that kind of sphere is important for myself and then important for the offense.
Yeah,
I like that conversation. I like that answer.
More detail, like you mentioned, Faison. Hey, I need you to run them comebacks. Maybe this time do a comeback and up. I need role specific, and that's what it's going to take when you're looking for a progression from a CJ standpoint, because your role's changing. So that whole thing is, I'm glad they're doing it now, and he's getting with his guys, and you can only hope for good results once you see it. We don't know how it's going per se and won't know until the first game, really, just because there's a lot of moving parts and it doesn't start happening for real till it happens for real. So it's just a build-up, man. I'm glad that he acknowledges that there's a mastering that comes this year that he didn't have the ability to do last year, and that requires, if anything, impact on decision-making, more decisions on his shoulders to weigh each and every game.
Yeah, I think he knows. And I like the way he just talked about it. Almost as he's becoming a master of the offense, as you talked about. Not running the offense, but being able to master the offense. And he came across to me like someone that's entering into that sphere of being able to master this offense and get into the nuances and the nooks and crannies. To be able to go to Mike Denbrock properly and say, yo, what about this? What about that? And to be able to see things pre-snap and change things and be more efficient, be more explosive down the field. And that's what he talked about. And I loved hearing it. Now, all of them were asked about this certain dude that wore 4 for the last 2 seasons at Notre Dame. Probably going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. And they were effusive in their praise from their time with Jeremiah Love. And CJ Carr said something at the end that I was just like, huh? What? Check it out.
We're around him all the time, and we still don't understand how he moves the way he moves. I mean, it is the most unreal thing. From in games, because you'll see in practice, I think it was pit week. J Love was working this one move. Like, even if it didn't work, he's doing this little cut with a spin. Like, he's bumping the defenders, and then some guys he's getting cut with a spin. I'm like, man, what is he doing? Like, he just keeps doing the spin move, man. And then we get to the pit game, run right down the hole, cut, spin. Dude's on the floor. We're like, well, that's crazy because he's been doing that the entire time. But it's crazy. I mean, his feet are phenomenal. It's like one of the best talents I've ever played around or seen in my life, and it's so unreal to see. That's
what's crazy is that I've heard him say, like, I practice all these things.
Yeah.
And you think it's, you must just be such a great athlete. It comes to you naturally. But, like, he's like, I practice that. And I guess proof's in the pudding.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Yeah, he's unbelievable. I think we got to a point last season where it's just kind of like he takes a lot of pressure off me because, I mean, I don't have to do much when you just get to give it to him. And we got to a point where it's like, where do you, like, we have set formations where he wants to be, but it's like, dude, like, do you want to be in pistol here and run this, or do you want to be in gun here? Like, what do you want here? What's going to give you the best? Because that's just how much trust we had in him. That anytime he had the ball in his hands, it could, it was dangerous.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I literally heard CJ Carr say that about being next to CJ, having the play call, knowing where he was supposed to be in the play call, but literally having a conversation with Jeremiah, like, where do you want to be in this? You want to be left, right, pistol? What do you see? Like, you talk about the luxury that we talked about CJ Carr having last year with those two running backs in the backfield. And I went and watched a couple of games, and literally, I was like, oh, snap. The Pitt game, I saw it. The Purdue game, I saw it. It's like I went back and just randomly grabbed 2 games, and I was like, yo, CJ is literally sitting there asking him, like, what do you want to do? What side do you want to be on for this play? I know the play call says that you're supposed to be left of me, but if you want to go to pistol or want to go to the right side, by all means, I'm going to depend on you because, you're a dude. You're a one of one. And that's just an amazing luxury to have. An amazing luxury to have. I'm glad. Actually, I am very happy that his development could come resting on those 2 running backs. If you're going to develop your young quarterback, first-time starter, at the right pace and in the right environment, that is a very conducive environment to proper development for your young quarterback. It really is. It really is. I still wonder sometimes whether or not Mike Denbrock used CJ the right way. I think one of the things we're going to see, I want to see CJ be more aggressive and daring over the middle of the field. I think he will be, based upon what we heard with him mastering the offense. But I'm super excited, man. But that was great to hear. That was absolutely amazing to hear. Jordan Faison and CJ Carr talking about just being able to watch Jeremiah Love for the last 2 years, and just as good as they are, for them to be amazed at what he does, and the fact that the things that we saw in the game, he literally practiced those things, like he anticipated, those things, watching film or just from what he got, different looks and being in different positions in games. He would go back throughout the week, work on certain things, work on certain counters. And he's just one of one. You talk about elite talent matching the work ethic, and then, of course, off the field, he's just, man, he's a charmer. That Jeremiah Love is just, he charms you. He charms you with his personality. And then shout out to Jay Love, his dad and his mom. His parents did an incredible job, because he's just as good as a young man as he is a football player. Good Morning Football, his counterpart, or his partner in crime, shall I say, Jadarian Price. He was on Good Morning Football today, if you guys missed it. No, this is just a snippet of what he talked about.
How explosive you can be in the return. You can be in the return.
I'm sorry about that. Lost sound. I'll try to bring it back to you guys tomorrow. All right. Lucky Lefty Podcast. So, everybody, great show today. Let me get to these GTB questions. Earlier conversation, we said, if you, in salute of Lou Holtz, who was great mass, celebrating the life of the legendary head coach earlier this week, all of his players, not only from Notre Dame, but from South Carolina, heard from some of the older players I had an opportunity to talk to about how great of a time it was, and the brotherhood that spanned both of those programs and all of them coming together. It was just a fantastic, enlightening experience, even for the current players. I heard great things from some of their parents. So as they attended. So the question was, current coach, player, past coach, player. If you had a reservation for 4, one opportunity to go out to dinner with any former or current Notre Dame coach or player, including you, in that reservation or party of 4, which means you get to bring 3 people with you. who would those three people be in Notre Dame history? Any current or former coach or player? And we had a couple of responses. Josh Buffo, the motivational business banker, said Freeman, Holtz, Brady Quinn. That's a pretty good trio of guests. Ed, what's up, my guy? Said Zach Martin, Jeff Samardzija, and Brady Quinn and Freeman. I guess you're just going to sit on the side and not partake. But GTP question on the way out. Sean Stewart, what's up, my dude? Denbrock could do what Walsh did when he was with the 49ers, use the pass to set up the run. Absolutely, he can do that this year. I agree. Jay Grizz, do they got pickleball courts on campus? I believe they do. I've actually heard a couple of players talking about that. Pickleball, they talked about it on the Wake Up the Echoes, how they're all is ping pong, pickleball, and golf. A lot of the Notre Dame players are golfers. CJ said he wasn't that good. Jordan Faison, actually, we'll bring this up tomorrow. What's your YouTube? What have you ever had a YouTube binge or fetish? Basically, Jordan Faison said he played golf with one of his teammates, and then all of a sudden he just went on a YouTube golf binge, just watching all types of YouTube channels. I'm interested in knowing, do you guys have current YouTube binges or addictions? We'll talk about that tomorrow. I think that's a really good topic, off-brand topic, just to have fun with. LL question of the day. But yeah, I'll bring up the clip of Jordan Faison talking about him golfing as well. On the way out, Jay Melvin, Faison is Left's kind of guy, putting the freshmen in their place. Yeah, Left definitely was all about putting the freshmen in their place, because it was done to him. It was definitely done to him when he was the youngster coming in. Great show, guys. Continue to support us. Bleav Audio Edibles. Go tap in each and every day. Download, set up for automatic download. And we are presented by FanDuel, FanDuel.com. You can follow us on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Go over to FanDuel and download the FanDuel app. But left, have a great evening. Continue to love each other. But most of all, you have to make sure that you continue to spin it different. We'll see you tomorrow.